Hello and welcome. My name is Marcos and this is Self-Psychology. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's made a donation through the website to keep this podcast going. Today's topic is on sexual dysfunction of women. We get this topic from a group of women who sent in emails where they feel alone and embarrassed about having sexual dysfunction. Let's address that issue first. The American Psychological Association did a study a few years ago, and they determined that 43% of women under 60 has had some type of sexual dysfunction in their lives. 43%, that's almost 1 out of every 2 women under the age of 60. That's a lot. So it's really important to see that you're not alone in this. And this video is also good for your partner, because partners, they can learn from this and be supportive. Now when I say some type of sexual dysfunction, what do I mean by that? Well, there's basically 4 types, 4 things that can happen that we call sexual dysfunction. The first one is low desire, not wanting to have sex. Second one is not being able to be aroused. The third one, not being able to reach an orgasm. These are easily I'm talking about. And lastly, pain during sex. So these are the 4 types of things that we call sexual dysfunction in women. Now, why do you think some of these things happen? Many reasons. First of all, let's talk about medical reasons. Medicine, disorders, some type of diseases, medical conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension. These disorders tend to affect sexual desire and the 4 types that I had mentioned before. But there are also psychological reasons like depression, anxiety, and mainly stress. Okay, mainly stress, but also sexual trauma, whether it was in the past or currently. So there are other psychological reasons that can happen, and that's basically what I focus on. So, what do I normally suggest to women who come in with this condition? First of all, is to go see their doctor, gynecologist or the general practitioner. Just go see your doctor and rule out any medical condition that you may have, because that's the first thing you need to check out. Once you're all set there, then you can start looking at your thoughts and what may be going on psychologically that may be giving you one of these types. Now, as you all know, we work with the ABCs, and for you people who are new to the podcast, you can look at the first or second videos or the summary video, and it explains really well how do you use the ABCs to come up with your thoughts, with the things that you tell yourself that get in the way of you functioning normal. So let's take a quick example. A woman, she has a date. She has a date with her partner or with someone else, and she goes out to find an outfit that'll be really nice for her romantic evening. When she gets out to the store, she has a difficult time finding an outfit. Then she starts to self-doubt. She starts to tell herself things like, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, no one's gonna like you, you're gonna be rejected again, you're so stupid for eating like you do, this is worthless, this is hopeless, this is just a bad idea to go out on this thing. Now naturally, those self-downing thoughts are going to cause the consequence, the emotional, unhealthy feeling. And in that case, it's going to be something like depression. Because anytime you self-down like that, you tend to get depressed. And what's the behavioral consequence? What happens after you tell yourself all these things and you get depressed? Yes, you have sexual dysfunction, you have low desire, you don't get aroused, things like that. You understand? Good. Now let's take a case, because I always like to demonstrate these things with a particular case. Let's call this woman Kathy. And Kathy is in her 40s. Now Kathy has been divorced for the past 10 years. And since then she hasn't had sex, but she's had a couple of dates here and there. Now Kathy wants to change her life around. So she started to go to the gym. She started to put herself out there to meet friends. She has a couple girlfriends now that she chats on the phone, and they're starting to go out to see if they can meet someone, meet a partner. Right? She also puts herself out on the internet to see if she can meet someone during that, right? Now Kathy, when she sits down sometimes to start thinking about what's going to happen once she meets this guy, she starts to get nervous. And she realizes that she has no sexual desire. Now, you guys are smart, and this is our 16th video, so I'm going to start to challenge you. I'm going to start to challenge you. I want you to take your journals out, your ABC journals, and go through the ABCs with me. So A, activating event. What do you think is the activating event here with Kathy? That's right. The activating event is that she sits down and starts to think about what's going to happen once she's intimate with this man. Okay? Now what's the B, the belief? You're right again. The belief is it's not going to work. I'm not going to enjoy this. I'm going to get rejected. He's not going to like me. I'm too fat. It's going to be horrible like when I was married. It's going to be painful. So all these beliefs lead to a C, to a consequence. So what do you think her emotional consequence might be? What's the emotion? What's the feeling? Anxiety. That's right, anxiety. Because when you tell yourself feelings, when you tell yourself beliefs of something in the future being horrible, and once it happens you're not going to be able to stand it, and that tends to bring on anxiety. Now what's the behavior? When somebody feels anxious, what are they going to do? Well, in this case, she'll have sexual dysfunction. She won't have the desire to go out and meet someone. So what she'll have, what's the other behavior? She'll avoid. So she's going to do something that's going to sabotage, that's going to get in the way of something she really wants. So it's self-defeating, right? Because she started out that she wants to meet a partner, but then she has these thoughts of how bad it's going to be once she has sex. She gets anxious, and that feeling is bad, so what she does, she avoids it. She has no desire, and she avoids it. Now, let's dispute those irrational beliefs, okay? Let's first go with logical. Is it logical for her to think about what's going to happen once she's with this man? That she's going to get rejected, that it's going to be horrible like when she was with her husband. Are these thoughts logical? You tell me. You're right, they are not logical. First of all, she's thinking about something that may happen in the future, and she's thinking about it, how bad it's going to be. She's putting all these bad thoughts. And once it happens, she's not going to be able to stand it. First of all, she does not have a crystal ball. She is not a fortune teller to know what's going to happen in the future. Once that happens, once the future comes and she's with a man in bed, then that's another story. But right now, she hasn't even met a man. So she doesn't have a partner, and yet she's thinking about what's going to happen once she gets in bed with that partner. That's going to make her anxious, and that's going to make her avoid men. That's the E. That's the D. That's the dispute. We want to dispute that. Lastly is the E, the rational alternative, the rational thought. A concise, small, short, sweet coping statement that Kathy can tell herself whenever she gets these thoughts about it being horrible when she gets to bed with the man and she starts feeling anxious. Now, it's a good idea in your journal to have like a section where you put all of your coping statements. So then when you feel something similar to this, you go and you tell yourself this coping statement. Now, what I would recommend to Kathy is that she tells herself this coping statement over and over and over and over until it sticks. What's a good coping statement for her? Come up with one. Yeah. A good coping statement might be, I left my crystal ball at home. I'm not a fortune teller. There's no way I'm going to know what the future holds for me. Or something like, once that happens, I'll have the resources to deal with it. I don't have any resources to deal with it now because it's not here. You ever get nervous about something that's going to happen in the future? And then once it happens, it's not really so bad? Well, that's generally what's happening here. So, Kathy has to dispute her beliefs, come up with her coping statement, and repeat it. And repeat it and repeat it until she realizes that she emotionally is doing something wrong and she cannot predict the future, so that she'll start feeling better about herself and doing what it is she needs to do to make men. Now, one of the other things I found that works really well is for women and men alike to learn about their bodies, to explore their bodies, to see what is it they're working with, and accept themselves unconditionally just the way they are. Because by having these self-defeating thoughts, it's not helping. It's not helping one bit. On the contrary, it's hurting. So you don't want to not accept who you are. You want to accept who you are just the way you are. And if there's things you need to change, well, you change them. But it's good to explore your body. And in the exploration, it's not a bad idea to masturbate. To get that arousal going, to get the arousal up and start thinking in a sexual manner, whatever age you are. Now, some women who have trouble reaching orgasm, that's a common recommendation, is that they masturbate before they have sex, even up to an hour before, and get really aroused, so when they are having sex with their partner, then it'll make it easier for them to reach orgasm. Okay? Understand? Great. Thank you very much for joining me this week. I really look forward to seeing you here next week. Remember to tell your friends and family about us. And stay healthy, live happy.